As you look at me right now as I'm talking to you, you can't see it, but I have a terrible and incurable disease. When the first symptoms appeared, I didn't give them much credence. I was just 29 when I started feeling tired all the time. I would lose my balance every now and then, and I felt some tingling in my feet. Then, one day, as I was flying home to see my parents, all of a sudden, I lost my eyesight in one eye. I remember I was in my seat panicking and constantly rubbing my eye, thinking it's just something that would go away. The doctors did an MRI and said I had a clear-cut case of multiple sclerosis, a crippling autoimmune disease. They put me on medication, a lot of medication. I was injecting myself every day, but my disease was only getting worse. Soon, I couldn't go to work anymore. I was slowly losing control of my own body. My disease kept me bedbound most of the time. On good days, I could still walk using a cane. I bought a house that was wheelchair accessible. The expectations were that I would be in a wheelchair the rest of my life in the best case scenario. I was continuously in pain. It was agonizing. It often felt like I was being burned with a cigarette lighter. But the fear of having to depend on others for simple things like going to the toilet was even worse. This was supposed to be my new life, the new normal. Life changes when you get sick. Like it or not, sooner or later you will face something similar. Everything you thought was important suddenly takes a back seat. Your priorities shift, but they shift to where they should have been all along. It's ironic that our health seems more valuable only after we lose it. Without it, we have nothing. Imagine this. If you could heal yourself from a crippling disease, would you spend everything you have for a life-saving treatment? I know I would. Everything else can be rebuilt. Instead, we spend most of our time trying to make more money and almost no time preserving our health. It's only once we are in a hospital bed or sick at home that we appreciate it. But then it will be too late. Tomorrow, your life might change completely. You don't know when your years will get stolen from you. So don't take your health for granted. Don't wait for it to deteriorate to take care of it. In my case, the life I was living became unbearable. This led me to pour all my time and my resources into the biggest medical research of my life. But the thing I found out didn't just put me on the path to recovery, it ended up saving many other sick people as well. People with very different diseases that had nothing to do with multiple sclerosis. And it might well have something to do with you, the one watching this video. Because if you have ever taken prescription pills, or if you're taking some right now, you need to know one thing that I found out the hard way. There is a devil in your medicine cabinet. You might not realize it, but the only thing that healed you every time you got sick was your immune system. That's your inner doctor. Many people mistakenly think it's the drugs that cure them, but they're wrong. Drugs help you, but it's your inner doctor who heals you. I'll give you an example that will clarify this. When someone has HIV, their inner doctor becomes very, very weak, to the point that every common cold is life-threatening. No matter how many powerful pills that person takes, when their inner doctor becomes too weak, their fate is sealed. I'm pretty sure you've also heard about accident victims being given survival chances by their physicians, 50%, 20%. That's because their treatment could only take you so far, but it's your inner doctor that ultimately decides your fate. Medicine is not math. That's only because we all have a different inner doctor. That's also the reason we all get different chances, and one of the reasons we respond differently to the same medication. Sooner or later, you will depend on your inner doctor too. But just like I did a long time ago, you're probably hurting your inner doctor right now without even realizing it. Whenever you take a pill or another synthetic medicine, you help your body for the short term. You treat your symptoms and you feel better for the moment. But there's a huge price you pay each time. And it adds up. Many pills are slowly killing the doctor inside you. With every pill that you take, your inner doctor becomes weaker. Whenever you take these pills, he does less. He becomes habitually lazy. So when you really need him, you may find out that he's too out of shape to do anything. It's the same with every part of your body. If you don't use your muscles, they'll atrophy. If you don't use your brain, you'll think slower over time. If you don't walk, your leg bones will lose calcium and become brittle. The same thing happens to your immune system. If your doctor is on pills, he is weak, and your body will slowly but surely decline. Your immune system is also in charge of clearing away dead cells and repairing the damaged ones. If your inner doctor becomes lazy, your organs will deteriorate a lot faster. You'll age prematurely on the inside. Even worse, a damaged cell can end up mutating into a cancerous cell. As you've been watching this video, thousands of cells inside your body have mutated, but that doesn't mean you'll get cancer. That's because they need to evade your inner doctor, who is constantly on the lookout for abnormal cells. That's why a person with a weak inner doctor is more likely to develop cancer. For example, people infected with HIV are about 500 times more likely to be diagnosed with a certain type of cancer. One of the reasons cancer was very rare 150 years ago is that back then, people had a healthy inner doctor. There were no pills, so they had to have a strong immune system if they were to survive. That's also one of the reasons why autoimmune diseases were not common at all. Basically, when you have a disease like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, inflammatory bowel disease, psoriasis, multiple sclerosis, or any of the other over 100 autoimmune diseases, it's your inner doctor who's sick. But conventional medicine typically works by fighting and suppressing the immune system even more, making him sicker and sicker. That's why you'll feel better for the moment from alleviating your symptoms, but you will never heal your inner doctor who is sick in the first place. It's your inner doctor who decides how you live your life. Depending on its strength, when you turn 60, 70, or 80, you'll be bedridden with all sorts of chronic diseases, tired all the time, with different articular pains, and prematurely aged. Or you'll be full of energy and fit inside to do whatever you want, free to spend good time with your family and work the homestead or do your hobbies until your 90s, just like our grandparents who died with their boots on. We've all seen a 90-year-old that still works in the garden every day and doesn't have any joint pain or many health problems at all. My grandmother, an avid walker and gardener, could outwalk us even in her later years. On the other hand, we all know people who feel and look 70 when they are barely past 50, bedridden with all sorts of diseases or with their time cut short. This is the true cost of taking pills over a long period of time. Most of the times, one pill will lead to another, and soon you may find yourself taking a handful of pills at a time, just like I did. But just as pills harm your inner doctor, there is something that heals it and makes it stronger than it has ever been. And you'll find out about it in lesson number 3, taking charge of your inner doctor. Think about all the good things that have happened in your life, especially the most important ones. My guess is that they were all done by you. Whenever you took matters into your own hands, you did great things. Whenever we become lazy, the exact opposite happens. As the old folks used to say, if you want something done right, do it yourself. No matter if it's raising a child, buying a house, or doing an important task at work, when it really matters a great deal, you won't just leave it up to someone else and hope for the best. Then why would you do any differently when it comes to probably the most important thing in life, your health? If I hadn't taken matters into my own hands, I would have probably been stuck in bed, having my 16 and 11-year-old kids taking care of me, instead of me taking care of them. Ignorance is the worst disease. It kills and cripples thousands of people daily. Investigate for yourself. Believe, but doubt. Of course, your physician means well, but he or she doesn't have the same skin in the game that you do. Nobody does. Follow his or her advice, but explore other options too. Most of the times, the recommendations will treat your symptoms, but not the root cause. Anti-inflammatory medication doesn't treat the cause of inflammation. Painkillers don't treat the cause of the pain. Insulin doesn't treat the cause of diabetes. And statins don't treat the cause of cholesterol buildup in the arteries. All these pills may have devastating side effects if taken over long periods of time, killing your own natural ability to treat the root cause. But there is something that can truly help your inner doctor. For me, it changed my life. I went from bedridden to traveling all over the world and enjoying every bit of my life while taking good care of my children and doing things that even healthy people can't do. Like surviving 57 days alone in the wilderness with little more than a knife. I manage my MS using a very specific combination of nature-provided nutrients, minerals, and most importantly, 3 simple tinctures that I take almost every day. These are the ones that worked for me, but I hope today I'll show you something that will work for you. That's why, right now, I want to invite you inside my world of remedies. I want to share with you everything I've discovered about medicinal plants and guide you along the path to healing yourself naturally. Because as pills weaken or even fight the only one that can heal you, your inner doctor, some natural substances found in nature, even some of your backyard plants, are making him stronger. Our ancestors used these plants long before we existed, but they lacked something that we know today. With the help of modern science, we can now distinguish the plants with powerful healing properties from the bogus folk remedies. We can now pinpoint the substances in nature that act like an antibiotic, an antiviral, or the ones that are helping your inner doctor. That's because now we know the mechanics. Hi, I'm Dr. Nicole Appelian. I'm an herbalist, and I've studied plants and natural remedies for the past 20 years. I got my undergraduate degree at McGill University, my master's at the University of Oregon, and my PhD at Prescott College. But I was never afraid of dirt time. I've studied plants on the savanna and have lived and worked with one of the last remaining San Bushman tribes of the Kalahari.
In 2015, I was among the first women to be selected for the History Channel's TV show, Alone. I then went on to survive for 57 days straight in the wild, with little more than my knife and the plants that I found there. But what I'm probably known best for is making powerful remedies.